This is Module 4, Creating Buildings. In this module, you'll learn how to draw walls, you'll learn how to create doors and windows, you'll learn how to create roofs, you'll learn how to create slabs and floors, you'll learn how to control cameras, and you'll learn how to create sections and elevations. This is Lesson 4.1, Creating Walls. In this lesson, you will learn how to create walls. You'll learn how to control the height of walls, learn how to control the width of walls. You'll learn how to control the graphic style of walls. Let's get back into Vectorworks. In this module, we're going to learn how to draw walls, put in doors and windows, create slabs, put on a roof, maybe even cut sections and create elevations. Except for the elevations, walls, doors and windows, slabs, floors and roofs are not part of Vectorworks fundamentals. Now I know we've often been using the fundamentals workspace, but this is a Vectorworks Foundation course. We need to learn the fundamental principles behind Vectorworks, or the foundation of your knowledge. But we can't use our fundamentals workspace to draw those things. Tools on the menu bar, we have to change to our workspace and one of these designer workspaces. So Architect, BIM, Braceworks Designer, Landmark, Spotlight, so on. I'm going to choose Architect just because it's at the top of the list. Choose your appropriate designer workspace, and you notice that all the tools go away, and when they come back they're in a different order and there are a lot more tools. Now we're not going to use all of these. So for example, we've got the wall tool, the curved wall, wall join, we've got the wall end cap. We're not going to use all of these tools, we're just going to use some of them. So we're going to use the wall tool, we're going to use the door and windows, we're going to put a roof on, and so on. Choose the right designer workspace to suit you. When we draw walls, our walls can be connected to our design layers. Let's just take a refresher on design layers. I'm going to click on my layer button and let's open up our design layers. Now we should have looked at design layers earlier on. We looked at the ability to create design layers. We can change the name of this and call it walls. And here we have the ability to change the scale, the stacking order, and the elevation and the layer wall height. Now the elevation is the project height. You can see it says there relative to the ground plane. But what about the layer wall height? What does that mean? Well, we can actually connect our walls to this dimension, and as we change this dimension, our walls will automatically change height. So let's start this off at, say, 9 feet, which is 2700 millimeters. Let's click OK, and we'll click OK again. Just before I do that, just notice here, it's now got my elevation and my layer wall height. Click OK. Now it doesn't change anything here. We're basically working at a scale of 1 to 48, or quarter inch. If you're using the metric file, you'll find it's already set to 1 to 50. You can check that by right-clicking, choosing Active Layer Scale, not Activate Layer, but Active Layer Scale, and it'll bring up this dialog box here where we can choose 1 to 50, or here we have quarter inch, 1 to 48. Let's talk about drawing walls. I'm going to get my wall tool. Here it is here, the wall tool. Click on that once, and you'll see that there are 4 different ways of drawing a wall. We can draw a wall using its left control line, the center control line, the right control line, or another one that we can specify. We have here the ability to have the wall control line. So in other words, what happens is the control line is based on the overall wall, and here it's based on a component. Now this is a foundation course of Vectorworks. I'm not going to go into wall styles and wall components. We can draw walls using a polygon mode, and we can draw walls using a rectangular mode. And here are our preferences. When I click here, we'll have the ability to create our wall preferences. At the moment, I've got an overall thickness of 4 inches. If I look at my insertion options, I've got here the height of my wall and the top bound, so this is what's controlling the top, is my layer elevation. I can set this to layer wall height, and it will then use my layer wall height from my design layer to control the absolute height of my wall. So the top offset from my layer wall height is 0 inches. So if I made that plus 4 inches or plus 100 millimeters, it would add an extra 100 millimeters or an extra 4 inches to the top of my wall. If I make it minus 4 inches or minus 100 millimeters, it'll actually take that away, so my walls will be just short of my layer wall height. If I set it to 0, it exactly equals it. But in either case, when we use our layer wall height or adjust the layer wall height, my walls will automatically adjust. Let's have a look at my definition just back here, my edit wall attributes. So I can control the solid fill, I can choose what kind of fill it's got, but I can also use classes to control this. I prefer to use classes to control all of my graphics for my wall, because that way I can use class overrides and viewports, which we covered in Module 3. And I can also use classes to control the graphic style of the wall on my design layers, and if I copy a wall, I can then assign that to another class and have that use those attributes. Click OK. I have the ability, just up here, to save the preferences, to save all my settings in this dialog box as a wall style. I'm not going to look at wall styles in this particular course. If you want to have a look at wall styles, then I'd like you to look at my Architect or my Introduction to BIM, my Building Information Modeling course. Right now we just want to look at the basic techniques of drawing walls. Okay, so we've got our polygon mode selected, this one here. And if I click to start a wall, I can draw a wall of a specific length. Let's make it 32 feet. Hit the Enter key once, and it creates a wall. If I hit the Enter key again, it'll finish that wall and it'll start my next one. This time I'm going to come down by about 8 meters. I can go 8M, Enter, click, come across here, touch that point, come down here, click once, and if I click once back where I started, it creates all of my walls. Now one of the beauties of all of this work is if I go to my top plan view here, my active layer, and I choose right isometric, I have my 3D height for my walls. So I've basically got the 3D of my walls for free. I'm going to hit key 0 on my numeric keypad. That takes me back to a top plan view. Now just in case I haven't gone over this before, key 5 is my top plan. You can think of my building sitting on key 5. That's a perspective view. Key 2 is a front view. So key 2 is in front of key 5 on my numeric keypad. Key 4 is to the left. Key 8 is to the back. Key 6 is to the right. And you can see just here, it keeps changing. Key 1 is an isometric from the left, and key 3 an isometric from the right. 9 is a right rear, and 7 is a left rear. So those are really quick ways of changing your view. I'm going to delete all these because I want to draw these again. I'm going to stay with my polygon mode, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across here. So this is about 10 meters. Or 32 feet, 33 feet nearly. Come down here, we're coming down here by 8 meters, 26 feet. Click again, come across here, and I'm going to hit the K key, K for close, and it actually just finishes off my walls for me. So that can be a really quick way to draw. Now you might remember earlier on we looked at drawing lines to a length, and I told you to practice it, that we'd use it later. And that is a great way that we could have used that technique right there. I'd like to change now to the rectangular mode. So let's try that again. So we're coming across 32 feet, or 33 feet across that way, don't forget the feet. And we're coming down minus 26 feet 3 inches. Enter again. So you'll notice that the rectangular mode is very quick for drawing a rectangular building. It is very quick. You only have to put in the 2 coordinates or 2 clicks. Let me just show you how that works. So click to start and click to finish. I'd like to bring your attention to this area here. These are our quick preferences, and one of our quick preferences is auto join walls, which is currently turned on. If I move near a wall and start drawing, you'll notice that the wall that was already there has now turned red. If I click, my new walls are connected to the old ones. Now, I'd like to hold down the Alt or the Option key, and I click, and it takes away the walls that are additional. And that can be a very quick way of changing your design. Now you might notice the first walls that I drew at the top, they don't join with my old building. I did that on purpose so I could show you this tool, the Trim tool. Now we looked at the Trim tool in the last module. What I didn't tell you is that the Trim tool works on walls. And if I click like that, it'll actually remove the walls that go through the middle of my room, and it'll remove them right back to the boundary walls. I can do the same here. I can do the same there. And so it's a great way of tidying up your plan. Let's just have a look at this in 3D. And you can see it all there. And you can see I've had quite a lot of fun with all of that. So back to my page, back to my Fit to Page area, I'm going to right click and select all, and I'm going to delete it all. I'm going to do my rectangular wall again. So here we are. So this is across 10 meters or 33 feet. And it's down 8 meters or 26 feet 3 inches. And you'll notice that I forgot to put in the minus, so I can go back to that. Put the minus at the front, enter once, enter again, and it finishes. So we've been using the left mode, and I've been drawing in a clockwise motion, which means that my dimensions are on the outside of my building. If I go back to the center mode, I could find the center of this wall, click, come across to the center of this wall, and you'll notice I'm still drawing in the rectangular mode. So I'm going to escape from that, hitting the escape key, back to my polygon mode, and let's click and we'll place a wall there. So one click to start and one click to finish. And you'll notice that my walls highlight when I'm near them. Back to my rectangular mode. This time I'm going to put in walls there and then walls there. And you'll notice that Vectorworks doesn't double up my walls. It's removing all of the walls that are additional. Back to my polygon mode. I'm going to put a wall down here. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to put a wall here, but I'd like to offset it. There's a couple of ways of doing that. One of them is to use your G key that we've learned right at the beginning. So we can hit the G key, hit the Tab key once, and we could type in, what should we make that? Should we make that 9 feet? Enter once, click to start, and that's coming down. So it's 9 feet from the edge of that wall to the center of that wall. Let's do that again. We'll just go to that point there. We'll try that again. Hit the G key again. So let's make that 6 feet. Enter once. If I start drawing and I realize I'm going down the center line, I can go back up to here and click on the left side. That might help. Or the right side. That way I've got the distance between the two rooms. Or the distance between those two walls. I'm going to draw some more walls. So I need some in here. I'd like some in there. Let's say, for example, that some of these walls need to be shown as existing, some need to be shown as demolished, and some need to be shown as proposed. So let's just have a look at this in 3D to start with. So I'm going to hit key 3. So there's a wall there. I can choose here that there's the height of my wall. If I wanted that wall to be 4 feet high, I can just type in 4 feet and it will just go to 4 feet. And you can see here Vectorworks has done my calculation for my top offset to make sure that wall is 4 feet. If I want that wall to be 6 feet, I can do that. If I double click on the wall, you'll see I get a blue handle in the middle. I can click and pull that down, and I can move the entire wall up and down using that option. If I go to the end handle, this blue handle here, and I click and I pull that handle up, I'm only pulling up one end of the wall. So one end of the wall is higher and one end of the wall is lower. I'm going to undo that. So edit, undo, edit, undo, and now I can just make that height just here, I'll change that top offset to 0, and it'll put the wall back at the right height. So back to my top plan view. Now until now, I've just been drawing all of my walls on the None class. So if I get my selection tool, let's select all my walls. Here where we've got the classes, we need a wall class for None. Let's just have a look here. Have we got one? We've got a wall existing. That'll be great. So all of my walls are now on the class wall existing. Let's say, for example, that we decide in our wisdom that we want to demolish these walls. We haven't got a walls demolish class, so just here, if I scroll down, wall, there is no wall demolished, so I'm going to create a new class. And I'm going to call it wall with a dash and demo. And I'd like to edit the properties of this after creation. So OK. So whenever I use a demolished wall, I want to use the creation. I want it to have no fill. I want it to be a dashed line or a line type. And I might want it to be a different color, like a gray color. OK. And you'll notice that those walls that were selected have got that class automatically assigned to them. Let's select those walls again. And this time I'm going to create another new class. This time it's going to be wall new or wall proposed. This time we want to use a creation, so turn that on. We want this to have a pattern, some sort of dark fill. We want this to have a solid line, but maybe a heavier line weight, something that's really nice and bold that we can see. So now I've got proposed walls, existing walls, and demolished walls. Using these classes is going to give me the ability to create an existing plan, a demolition plan, and a proposed plan. And it's going to allow me to create those drawings really quickly. Let's go up to View on the menu bar, and we'll create a viewport. And this will be my existing drawing. We need a new layer for this. Let's create a new sheet layer, 001, and existing. And OK. So you can see I've got all of my classes shown. I'd like to change the scale of this. I'd like to make it 1 to 100. So I've now got a small plan. If I drag a copy of this across and hold down the Control key on a Windows machine or Option key on a Macintosh, it will create a copy of that. And let's pull that across. So I've got the 3 drawings that I need. So one of these needs to be existing, so it should not show any of my proposed walls. Clicking on my Classes button over here opens my Viewport Class Properties dialog, and I can say turn off the new wall. This is my demolition drawing, which I'm going to call Demo. And I don't want to see the proposed there either. So let's get rid of new walls there. And in this drawing, we don't want to see our demolished walls. So let's go to Classes, and we'll turn off Wall Demo. Which is pretty good, except here I want my demolition walls to look exactly the same as an existing wall. So I'll go up to here, Classes, we'll choose Wall Demo, and this time we'll edit that so that Wall Demo looks the same as a regular wall. So solid and black. And OK. So now my demolished walls look like existing walls. Here they look like demolished walls, and here they look like proposed. And this is one of the really powerful tricks with using classes. Let's just go back up to my design layer, and we want to go back to my walls. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to turn off some of our classes. So let's turn off our new walls. And we've got our walls that are existing and demo. We have the ability here to save this as a view. And my view is going to be demo walls. And I'll turn on my new walls. So now what I can do is I can go up here, I can go, okay, show me my demo walls. And it'll turn off my proposed. Let's turn that back on. Let's turn off demolition. And let's save that view. And we'll call this New Plan. So now I've got the ability to jump between Demo Plan and New Plan. If I've made a mistake and I've renamed it, or I've named it badly, I can edit my view. Here we have Demo Wall, so what I'm going to do is to edit that, and I'm going to call it Demo Plan, which is similar to the other one. Here we have New Plan, Demo Plan, and if I've made a mistake with my classes, I can click on this button here and I can make changes to those. So there we are. We have the ability to turn our walls on or off. Here's my demo walls, turn those off, turn off my new walls. There we are. Now the only thing we haven't really talked about is a quick way to add a texture to a wall. So here's my wall, and if I look here on my render tab at the top, I have the ability to use the mode by object. That's what I have to do. But here I can choose what class I want to assign to different parts. Now, which is left and which is right? You might remember we started our wall here and we came this way, which means right is the inside and left is the outside. So let's choose left, and what I'll do is I'll choose a few walls and we'll choose left. So what class do we want? Here we can choose a class. There's a texture button here, and we've got a class here which is a wood texture. I can assign bricks to that. Double click. Those walls have bricks on the outside. If I choose the right side, click on texture again, you can see I've assigned wood to those. I could assign glass. There's only a couple of textures in this particular file. If I scroll down here in my Vectorworks library, we'll find lots and lots of textures are available. Hardscape textures, landscape textures, masonry, stucco. You might choose a stucco like that. And it's going to download it from the internet, and it's going to apply it to the inside of those walls, because remember, I'm applying it to the right side of the walls. So if you stand on the start of the wall and look down the wall, left is the left side, right is the right side. There we are. And if we go back up to here to the left side, we've got brick here. We might want to put siding. Now I did see siding down here. If I scroll down, we should see that we've got siding, and I could choose this sort of aluminium bluey color. Again, it has to download it from the internet, but once it's downloaded, it'll put that on the left side of the wall, which is the outside of my building. I know I showed you how you can double click on this and you can move the top of the wall down. There's also a handle at the bottom. I could move the bottom up if I wanted. So if we have a look back at our shape, there's a bottom offset. We could make that 100 millimeters or 4 inches. Or we can make it -4 inches and have it go past the slab. So we can change the top offset and we can change the bottom offset. This is the end of lesson 4.1. In this lesson you learned how to create walls, you learned how to control the height of walls, you learned how to control the width of walls, and you learned how to control the graphic style of walls.